Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we dig into the systems that shape our world. And today, we are tackling a big one, the macroeconomy. But we're going to look at it through a lens that might surprise you. We're going to see it as a giant, complex system of plumbing. So, just a quick heads up, what you're about to hear is a structural companion to our deep dive. It's not a book report, and it is absolutely not advice. We're using Tim Harford's incredible book, The Undercover Economist Strikes Back, to help us build a mental model for how the whole thing works. And to really get our heads around this system, we're going to follow one of the book's best stories. It's this fantastic, super visual way to see how all the pieces are actually connected. All right, let's get into it. Picture this: London, 1949. An economics student named Bill Phillips shows up and unveils this really, really weird machine in front of some of the smartest economists on the planet. I mean, look at this thing. It's this wild contraption. But it wasn't a toy. This beautiful, complicated machine, with all this pink water flowing through its pipes and tanks, it was a physical, working model of a national economy. And that is our key idea right there. The economy as a huge, interconnected system of plumbing. So, if the economy really is like a giant water machine, what exactly was Phillips trying to show us? What kind of system is it? Well, he was modeling macroeconomics. It's not about looking at individual trees. It's about seeing the entire forest. It's that 30,000-foot view, right? You're looking at the huge, sweeping changes, recessions, unemployment, inflation, the things that affect literally everybody. So here's the real difference. Microeconomics asks, why is this one person out of a job? But macroeconomics asks, whoa, why are a million people suddenly looking for work? It's a complete shift in perspective, away from the single person and onto the entire system. And this water machine shows you the basic logic perfectly. The economy is all about flow. Your spending becomes someone else's income. That income then pays for the production of things, which you then buy with your spending. See? It's just this continuous loop, like that pink water flowing on and on through the pipes. Okay, so if the economy is a big plumbing system, then you gotta have plumbers, right? Someone has to manage all the valves and taps, and that's where policymakers come in. They're the economy's plumbers. And these plumbers, they basically have one big job: just keep the water flowing smoothly. They're trying to prevent floods, like crazy inflation, and they're trying to prevent droughts, like mass unemployment. They do this to keep the system from totally breaking down and, frankly, to maintain public trust. And this is so important, they can't just go in and rebuild the whole system. Their toolbox is actually pretty small. They can basically turn a couple of key valves, like fiddling with interest rates or changing government spending, and they just have to hope that a small tweak over here will regulate the pressure across the entire network. So what happens when you try to fix a problem in just one tiny part of this massively complex, interconnected system? Well, back in the 19th century, an economist named Frederick Bastiat gave us a huge warning about this. He basically said, you have to look for the unseen consequences. Every single action creates these ripples through the system, effects you don't see right away, but they are so, so important. And this gets us to the crisis in perception. It's what happens when we use simple household logic for a giant national economy. You know the classic example, a broken window? We see the glazier gets paid to fix it, and we think, hey, great, that stimulates the economy. But we don't see the hidden part. The money that paid the glazier was going to be spent on something else, like new shoes. We're staring at one pipe, and we're totally missing the entire system. Now, when things go wrong, the shocks to this system usually come in two main flavors. You can have a failure of demand. That's when people have the money to spend, but they get scared, so they just don't. That's like a clog in the pipes. Or you can have a failure of supply, where there just isn't enough stuff to buy. That's a leak, where value is actually leaving the system. So, when one of our plumbers tries to fix a clog by just pumping way more water into the system, well, they might end up creating way too much pressure somewhere else. And boom, that's inflation. Or they borrow water from another tank, and now you've got government debt. The point is, every single fix has a trade-off. There are no easy, perfect solutions here. And that big dial we're all obsessed with, GDP, you have to realize it's just a flow meter. It tells us how much water is moving through the pipes. It tells us absolutely nothing about the quality of that water or if it's even getting to the people who really need it. But trying to manage all this is even harder than it sounds. Because you see, this isn't just some dumb mechanical system. in a very real sense, this plumbing, it has a mind of its own. Yeah, economists call this persistence. The system pushes back. And why does it do that? Because it's not made of water. It's made of people. And people have expectations. They start to guess what the plumbers are going to do next, and they change their behavior before it even happens. It's like trying to fix a set of pipes that keep rearranging themselves based on what they think you're about to do. And, as if that weren't complicated enough, our national plumbing isn't sitting in a basement by itself. Nope. It's connected to this massive, chaotic global network. A clog or a leak on the other side of the world can send a shockwave right back into our own pipes, just instantly. So what is the big takeaway here? What's the point? Well, by seeing the economy as this system of plumbing, this network of flows and pressures and trade-offs, we can finally move beyond those simple, and let's be honest, often dangerously wrong analogies. We can start to see the hidden connections. Look, the goal here isn't to become a perfect fortune teller. It's to better understand the logic of the world around us. So the real question I have for you is this. Now that you can see the plumbing, what unseen flows and hidden consequences are you going to start noticing in tomorrow's headlines? Crisis in Perception examines how systems shape belief and how better tools help us see clearly. This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon. For a longer audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description. If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.